Autek Mor, also known as the Maimed and the Bloodwrought, was both an Iron Lord and Iron Father within the Iron Hands Legion of the Legiones Astartes during the course of the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy, where he ruled over the clan company of Clan Moragul. Mor was one of the very first warriors to be inducted into the ranks of the 10th Legion and would go on to take part in numerous engagements at the dawn of the Great Crusade, such as the conquest of the Sol System. By the time the Iron Hands had reached the world of Medusa and reunited with their Primarch Ferrus Manus, Mor had become one of the Legion's most esteemed and decorated veterans. While Autek Mor was an incredibly skilled warrior and even a profound weaponsmith in his own right, he had also cultivated an unsavoury reputation as a result of both his brutality and cruelty. This malevolent streak exhibited by Mor would even result in him killing countless other warriors of his company over comparatively trivial matters, such as perceived insults or slights made against his personal honour. This in turn would lead to him presiding over his entire battle company with an iron fist, accepting no form of dissidence from his subordinates. Following the Legion's reunion with their Primarch, Autek Mor would lead an assault upon the renegade Medusan clan of Clan Rhaeguln, and within a single night, Mor would successfully subjugate the Rhaeguln before claiming the clan's Leviathan Crawler for himself. Clan Rhaeguln would be renamed in the aftermath of this conflict to Clan Moragul, in honour of their new master. This new clan would grow to become a haven for many of the Legion's more undesirable elements and outcasts, such as those warriors who were regarded as being too unstable or overly savage. While Autek Mor would prove to be a highly effective commander, he and Ferrus Manus would continuously butt heads, with neither man having any love nor respect for the other. Nonetheless, Mor would prove himself to be a staunchly loyal member of the Iron Hands following the outbreak of the Horus Heresy, and despite his own personal grievances towards Ferrus Manus, Mor would fight valiantly and fiercely during the course of the Istvan V Dropsite massacre, where his forces broke through the traitor lines in an attempt to support their Primarch, although they would ultimately fail in this endeavour. After successfully breaking out of the Istvan system and evading traitor pursuit, Mor, now in command of a small detachment of Iron Hands aboard the battle barge the Red Talon, would begin a campaign of vengeance and terror against their traitorous cousins, frequently targeting locations of strategic significance to Horus's forces. One such conflict would result in Mor's forces successfully destroying the world of Bot, the de facto homeworld of the World Eater's traitor legion, by crashing a moon into the planet's surface. Before the world was destroyed, however, Mor would succeed in obtaining a stasis casket that was marked with the various sigils of the Emperor's genesmiths. And yet, in spite of all his accomplishments and centuries of service to the Imperium, rumours abound that Mor's gene seed and even his very bloodline are not as they should be. Such rumours, which had existed long before the outbreak of the Horus Heresy, have led some to suggest that his gene seed could be racked with a series of flaws or deficiencies, while others maintain that his implants are derived from a genetic template other than that of Ferrus Manus. So what could be the truth regarding these rumours surrounding Autek Mor? The first possibility is that the various stories and accusations regarding the gene seed and bloodline of Autek Mor is that they are little more than that, stories. Such rumours could have been invented in order to try and justify the reasoning behind Mor's repeated acts of cruelty and malevolence, which is considered by some to be rather extreme even by the standards of the Iron Hands Legion. These stories may have even been initially spread by Mor himself, in order to help bolster his already terrifying and unsavoury reputation, perhaps even to grant him some form of psychological advantage over his peers. But supposing that there is some measure of truth to the rumours surrounding Autek Mor, then there are a number of potential possibilities regarding the warrior's genetic heritage. The first of these could be that Mor had originated from the ranks of another Space Marine Legion entirely, before being made into an official member of the Iron Hands. If this were indeed the case, then it remains unclear as to which of the other Space Marine Legions Mor could have hailed from, given the relative lack of obvious genetic signifiers in this particular regard. If Mor had indeed originated from another legion before being reassigned to the Iron Hands, then such an incident would be rather unprecedented for at least 18 of the 20 Space Marine legions. But given the various accusations made against his bloodline, then perhaps Mor's genetic lineage could be traced to one of the 2 lost legions. While certainly a somewhat interesting possibility to consider, this would appear to be unlikely, as the short story Chamber at the End of Memory strongly suggests that those warriors of the 2nd and 11th Legions would be integrated into the ranks of the Ultramarine and Imperial Fists legions specifically, as opposed to the Iron Hands. In addition, Mor himself was documented to have served within the ranks of the 10th Legion long before the dissolution of the 2nd and 11th Legions, further casting doubt on this particular prospect. Another, more feasible hypothesis is that Autek Mor is one of the last surviving prototype Astartes, warriors that had been created prior to the commencement of the Emperor's Primarch project, serving as the base template for all future Space Marines. While the first true Space Marines that would see active duty would be those of the Dark Angels Legion, who were created utilizing genetic material drawn from the Primarch Lionel Johnson, a small number of Proto-Astartes were known to exist prior to this. One such individual, as detailed within the novel Saturnine, is that of a warrior known simply as Litu, who was created utilizing genetic material drawn from both the Emperor and a female perpetual named Erda. Given that Autek Mor was one of the 10th Legion's oldest veterans and earliest recruits, in conjunction with the accusations made against his genetic heritage, this could potentially mean that Mor may not be an Iron Hand in any true sense of the word, but could instead be a prototype Astartes similar to that of Litu. The fact that Ferrus Manus and Autek Mor were described as having a great disdain for one another could also potentially support this possibility. Typically, though not always, the Astartes of the various legions were shown to view their Primarchs with reverence, respect, and esteem, viewing them as a type of father figure. Since the various gene seeds utilized by the Legione Astartes were derived from the genetic template of the Primarchs themselves, this familial connection, while maybe somewhat exaggerated, is hardly unwarranted. Conversely, the Primarchs themselves were commonly known to regard the warriors of their respective legions as their sons. If Autek Mor had indeed been one of the original Astartes templates, then Ferrus Manus would hold no form of paternal affection towards Mor, just as Mor would in turn have no familial connection towards his Primarch. In addition, the fact that Mor was one of the 10th Legion's most tenured veterans by the time the Great Crusade had reached the world of Medusa, where Ferrus Manus himself was located, would also appear to support this idea, albeit rather loosely. Since Ferrus Manus was the 4th Primarch to be rediscovered by the Emperor's forces, having been found relatively early during the Great Crusade, then the fact that Autek Mor was specifically described as one of the Legion's first veterans, as shown within Horus Heresy Book 2 Massacre, would strongly indicate that Mor, in addition to taking part in the conquest of the Sol system, may have even been a veteran from the days of the Terran Unification Wars. This latter prospect leads to the second rumour regarding Autek Mor, that he is in fact one of the last surviving members of the Legione Cata Aegis, or as they were more commonly known, the Thunder Warriors, the first of the Emperor's genetically enhanced warriors to be mass-produced. This particular possibility, similar to that of the Proto-Astartes hypothesis, is not only due to Mor's age in comparison to the other members of the Legione Astartes, but also a result of the many accusations regarding his gene seed and bloodline. While the Thunder Warriors were noted to be larger, stronger, and more durable than the later Astartes, they were also noted to be highly unstable, both physically and mentally. The genetic instability exhibited by the Thunder Warriors in particular would lead towards the development of numerous health complications, such as cancerous growths, dementia, and general organ failure. The Thunder Warriors were also known to be on average more brutal, sadistic, and cruel than the Astartes, with some individuals, as detailed within the novel Valdor Birth of the Imperium, even being known to take great pleasure in the act of massacring innocent civilians, slaves, and even children. Similarly, Autek Mor would become infamous for not only his brutality, but also for his callous disregard of civilian casualties during the course of the Horus Heresy, as Mor believed that such individuals would either be traitors who deserve no mercy, either due to their inaction or supposed sympathy towards Horus's cause, or that they were loyalists who, by extension, would be willing to die in service to the Emperor. Some have even suggested that Autek's acquisition of technology and possibly even genetic samples that once belonged to the Emperor's own genesmiths is additional proof of the Iron Hand being, in actuality, a Thunder Warrior. This is due to the fact that within the novel The Outcast Dead, the Thunder Warrior known as Arrectoranis would utilize the progenoid glands of several slain Astartes in an attempt to purge himself and, by extension, his followers of the various flaws that are known to manifest within the Thunder Warrior genome. As such, since Autek Mor was also rumoured to have flaws within his gene seed, then if he was indeed a Thunder Warrior, Mor could have potentially utilised such technology in order to purge himself of such deficiencies, similar to how Arrectoranis was also able to do so. However, while the notion of Autek Mor being a Thunder Warrior may initially appear to be somewhat feasible, there are a number of problems with this particular possibility. The first is due to the simple logistics regarding as to how a Thunder Warrior would find themselves inducted into a Space Marine Legion, especially when many of the original Terran Astartes were recruited as children. One such example of this was shown within the novel A Thousand Suns, as the twin brothers Azek and Orma Zaraman would be amongst those initial Terran children who would be inducted into the ranks of the Thousand Suns Legion. In addition, the gene tech obtained by Autek Mor may not have been acquired for the purpose of purging any supposed flaws from his genome, but could have been obtained for the basis of rapidly replenishing the extensive losses sustained by the Iron Hands Legion. This latter possibility is also supported by the fact that the world of Bot, from where Mor obtained this technology, was being utilised by the World Eaters to essentially mass-produce warriors for the Legion at an accelerated rate within Great Biovats. With this in mind, given the sheer number of casualties sustained by the Iron Hands over the course of the Horus Heresy, such as those sustained during the course of the Drop Site Massacre, in addition to Mor's own personality, it is not unreasonable to assume that Mor would wish to utilise such gene tech in a similar manner so as to continue waging his war against the traitors. The final major possibility regarding Autek Mor is that his gene seed had begun to slowly exhibit a hitherto unknown flaw within it. If this were the case, then it's unclear as to what this flaw or series of flaws could be. The gene seed of the Iron Hands, while not as stable as the stock utilised by the Ultramarines, Dark Angels, or even the Imperial Fists, is noted to be relatively free of physical flaws and mutations, although it is suspected to produce some form of psychological flaw within those that utilise it. But since Autek Mor has failed to exhibit any signs of genetic degradation or mutation, regardless of the various rumours that suggest otherwise, this possibility would, at least initially, appear to be fairly unlikely. Whatever the truth of the matter, Autek Mor remains as one of the greatest and most uncompromising warriors to have ever emerged from the ranks of the Iron Hands. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.